What is up? Welcome back, all you filthy internet degenerates. I love you guys. You guys are the coolest, taking over the world, kicking ass, taking names. For those of you guys who are new around here, my name's Frankie Finn. Wrote those two best-selling books. Built, and by the way, look at that. My kids wrote some sweet shit. I guess you can't see it from the light glare, but you'll have to trust me that Heidi and Zelda wrote, "I love you, Daddy." Anyways, yeah, built three of my own agencies up and been doing this 20 years, helped thousands of you guys. Quick little announcement just before we get rocking and rolling. I have exactly one spot open for the Wolfpack. I opened up 5, 4 of those were taken. Looking for one more person who wants to be part of an elite agency mastermind. You get tools, awesome community, access to me, help, support, all those kind of things. That sounds appealing to you. Appealing. We can talk some details. Anyways, let's get into the good shit here. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Frankie Finn proudly brings to you our weekly Q&A. With the greatest of all time, the man they call the man, His Holiness, the Lord of the Dad Guns, 170 pounds of pure steel and sex appeal. All right. I see Paul in the chat. What's your thoughts on e-commerce? I'm assuming that's sort of intentionally left as a broad question. So e-commerce can be good. It has its unique set of challenges. One, like finding products that are winners is you have to have a process for that. And then I know lots of people, for example, who have $5 million stores that actually make like 150,000 a year. And so margin is an issue. So I think e-commerce stores actually function best as a lead generator to a bigger business model. So like, for example, like let's say I had a store selling coffee, whatever. You can sell a bunch of coffee and things, but I would like have coffee retreats, go to Ecuador and spend 10K and watch it get made. And my entire e-commerce model would be a lead generation for the bigger thing. So I think that's actually like, I don't think it's easy to be profitable as an e-commerce store alone, but it's what you do with your list after the fact. And it's also a huge opportunity. Shout out to, by the way, Robert Siegelquist, who he does this for e-commerce. He goes into these stores that are making a bunch of money, but not really profitably. And he goes and helps them sell other things, affiliate products, does deals, other stores, other products, things like that. And then they make a bunch of money on the back end. How am I doing? If I'm being real with you guys, I just had a big old number 2 and I feel like just a little bit lighter as a human being. We got my buddy coming to visit. We might do a mushroom ceremony. We're going to go for some nature. He's going to be here for like a week. Hi, Frankie. Home services, precious handyman, or previous handyman. You mean, should you work in that niche? Is that the question? You'll have to elaborate a little on that. Just to say you are awesome, your energy and all, keep it up. Appreciate that. I appreciate you guys coming on here. Like, this is fun for me because of you guys. Like I say, like I've been to sporting events where I didn't know anything about it. Like I remember actually I went to a hockey game in Norway. I was in Norway for a couple of weeks visiting some friends. And I went to a hockey game, and I'm Canadian born, so I know the game of hockey, but I didn't know any of the players. I didn't know any of the teams. I couldn't have given less fucks. And the crowd was so into it that I was like all game long, like I'm fired up. Let's do this. So I feel the same about you guys, as long as you guys are here getting all jacked up. Let me get into first question. Aaron says, been watching your videos for a couple weeks and it resonates with me. However, my business is not a marketing agency. I'm a property investor and my focus is on raising capital by targeting individuals who have recently exited their business. I've heard you mention you've done Loom videos closing in the financial space. Have you got any tips on how you would approach raising capital? Aaron, the process for selling one thing is the same process for selling anything. So having said that, if you want to sell like investment capital, first thing, just like in any Loom video, is a demonstration. And so your demonstration is probably going to be an actual deal, or in your case, if you're doing like real estate and you have a property that's under market value by $80,000, that's what you want to demonstrate. Not, hey, do you want to give me money? But hey, I got a smoking hot deal. Or hey, I can send you this kind of money if you're willing to invest in a deal. And focus on making that real, right? A lot of times with demonstrations, what people get wrong is they try and make it look cool instead of real. So like people use stock photos and things like that. But I think about like if you really had a deal and you really had an investment. So like what I might show them, for example, is like in our real estate stuff, the way I receive money is I get an email notification from a title company and they say X number of dollars has been wired to your Mercury account. So I might screenshot of something like that and go, I want to bring you something like this if you're interested. That's how I would start the conversation. And then the same principles apply, right? So what you want to focus on is, like I said, either the money you're going to help them make or the deal you're going to help them get. And then the process of how it works to get them there. And it's the same principles. Like a Loom video came out of me doing thousands and thousands of sales calls and realizing they all ask the same thing. So in the beginning, like this is how I would typically do a sales call, is I would like try and get rapport with the other person. So so they would give you real and honest answers. Oh, my kids also went to such and such, ride on Disneyland. That's cool. How long did you guys stay there? Right. And then that was rapport. And then eventually it would start getting real and talking about business. And they would either talk about the problems they had or the outcomes they were moving towards. And they would just, like through a lot of questions, they might say, what's this going to do for me? Or, how long would this take? Or can you tell me a little bit about you guys? But they essentially want to know, what problems can you help me solve and what outcomes can you help me create? And so we figured out if you demonstrate that in a picture, you can skip like 45 minutes of conversation by going, this is what I can do, want it or not. Then they would wonder, if you show them a meaningful result, they would wonder, is that going to work for me personally? And so we would come up with a set of criteria and say it works for people in these scenarios. So like one of the lead criteria you guys might have is you have to call people back quickly, right? You have to call people back quickly, right? It works if you call people back quickly. It doesn't if you don't, right? And then they would want to know, how does it work? Which is why I came up with the 3 to 5 step plan. Here's how it works. Then they want to know, by the way, and you'd be amazed at how many sales calls are just this. How much is it? How much is it? So we just lay out using what I call the IVQ formula. Here's how much it is. Here's what you get for it. And it works really well if you're in this scenario. And if it passes all those sniff tests, then they want to know, how do I buy it? How do I give you money? And so you have to lay out exactly, here's how you give me money. I'm going to send you a Stripe link. You're going to click it. You're going to sign up here. So that's the same process for selling anything, including investments, just so you know. So to me, like if you're going to demonstrate that, it's like demonstrate you got a real deal. Show them this is what I want to bring you. And then tell them what you're looking for, these criteria in a partner. Then lay out how you're getting these deals, not in super detail, but enough that they understand what you're doing. And then tell them, like, here's how we can do business together. And then tell them what the fuck to do next. And you can sell anything that way. Anything, really. I mentioned this, like we've sold stuff that ain't agency services. I've sold retreats, masterminds, coaching programs, investments. We've also sold investments that same way. I've raised hundreds of thousands in capital through Loom videos. I've sold a couple of houses that way. I sold a car, just one car, not like cars plural, but I only had to sell one car. It was my car, trying to get rid of it. Long story in that, but there's a lot of things you can sell that way, my man. So, raising capital, follow the same basic blueprint. Let me just get back to the chat here. Hashtag burn it. That's Armando /niche. Good with tech and GHL, but new to agency. So I don't think GHL is a niche. I think GHL is just a tool. Like, best way to sell hammers is to find somebody who's building something with hammers and focus less on the hammer and more on the thing they're building. Hey, it looks like you guys are trying to build a high-rise building. Have you ever thought about using a hammer? So I always say the first 2 steps in growing any business, to me, any like service kind of business, are 1, pick a niche, And 2, research their problems. And what most people do is they skip right ahead to like step 4, which is I have this tool, in your case, GHL. How do I go sell it? But what happens is you create things that fundamentally shouldn't exist in the market. And like the example I use, like just so you can wrap your head around this. Okay, let's say I decide I'm going to start a food business. Where I live in Mexico, there are like thousands and thousands of fucking taco restaurants, like in every fucking direction, everywhere you go. And they're cheap and they're abundant and they're delicious, by the way. But what I wouldn't do is start a taco restaurant. And I'll tell you why, because I'd be competing against 1,000 people. Now, in the local Facebook group, there used to be a guy who served Indian food. He did catering once a week. He didn't have a formal restaurant, but you could like pre-order and he would make Indian food. He moved away. And so every like couple of weeks, I see somebody post, hey, where can I get good Indian food? And the answer is nowhere. So there's like a real market need here for Indian food. Now, if you go start a business and go, I'm going to just sell what I want to sell, and you skip the market research, you'll go start a taco business like everyone else. And you'll go, oh my God, it's so hard. And nobody wants what I got. And I just get ignored and blah, blah, blah. And it's going to be difficult. But if you do the research, you're like, hey, there's a need for tacos. And so, like I say, it only creates a 10-degree shift in your deliverable. But the difference between, hey, we'll do missed call text back and we'll do missed call text back to get you kitchen renovation jobs, like sounds like a small detail, but it's a huge detail to the end person. So I don't start with GHL on the tech. If you guys want to make money with GHL, almost everybody who starts with tools and GHL and goes, how do I sell this shit, is broke, just so you know. The people who make lots of money with it start with, here's a niche, here's a problem, I'm going to solve it. And so, and if you guys have never done the research on the market, I made this super easy for you guys with my market research bot. So I'm going to paste this into the chat, which I end up pasting every chat, but it'll tell you exactly what those people want. So you just pick a niche, put it in there. It'll tell you what they're struggling with. And then you pick one of those things and you solve that problem. You build your tool set around it. It sounds small, but like what's the deliverable difference between I sell tacos and I sell Indian food? One is tortillas with meat and vegetables in it. One is naan bread with meat and vegetables in it. It ain't that fundamentally different, but there's a huge need in the marketplace for one and not for the other. And you can charge top dollar if you were to start an Indian restaurant. So you want to like slightly modify your thing based on what they're trying to do. Hey, just drop my comment about Facebook outreach. Yeah, you're next on the questions. I'm just going to catch up on the chat real quick, and then I'll answer that. Please talk about the best ways to get conversations from the right people, like business owners during research, the $100 bill. Mostly. It depends what you're trying to do, okay? So firstly, it sounds like you're in a niche where there is a front desk. Not all industries have a front desk. But if you're trying to figure out you're just doing research, I almost always use communities for research. I'll tell you the 3-4 places that I use religiously for research on that. And you can also use the market research bot. It'll tell you what their $100 bills are. But Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups, Quora, Reddit, and I guess Amazon is the other one. And what I'm looking, the reason why I use communities is because I'm looking for things that get repeatedly upvoted. So I'll tell you one of the questions you guys can ask to find out what problems they're trying to solve. And one of my favorite questions, it's an innocuous question, meaning it doesn't look very threatening. So like they don't look at it and go, oh, you're a marketer, screw you and what you're trying to sell, is you just ask the question, why would you tell somebody not to start a blank business? So I might join a community of dentists. Why would you tell somebody not to start a dental practice? And they'll go problem, 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 problem. And the ones that get extra upvoted. So for example, one of the things, if you ask that question in a dental thing, they'll talk about their margins, how small their margins are, how much competition there is. And you'll realize even though they take in a lot of money, they actually don't make a lot of take home money. And it's a high stress kind of business. Like if you have a business, like I have a friend, for example, he has a low margin, $50 million a year service business. And he says he makes about 5 million. Now, most of you guys would be happy to make 5 million. But if you look at it from another perspective, he has to make 45 million a year to be broke. Ain't that some shit? He's got to make 45 million just to be broke. And the extra above the 45 is what he gets to keep. So if you turn around and go, hey, what is your highest margin thing you sell? and then you help them sell that, your service is going to be infinitely more valuable than else does, which is more leads, more sales, more customers, more patients. So if you're not really sure on that research, and then as far as actually like reaching them, I would almost never suggest cold calling in industries where there's a front desk. Yes, you can get past them. Yes, there are strategies that work, but you're just going to mostly hit the wall doing that, and you're going to. I've heard the words demoralizing. It's a grind even when it works, which is why I'm a big believer in attracting. And I'll tell you the simplest way to attract them is build an audience of them. So like, I don't know what industry you're trying to sell in, but like, let's just say you're trying to sell to dentists. Like, go on Facebook or go on LinkedIn and friend 1,000 fucking dentists or connect with 1,000 dentists. And then when you make posts, it's going to go in front of dentists, and ergo you can pull them in towards you without having to chase them. So I'm a much believer in that. Attract, don't chase, everybody teaches outbound in our industry because it's cheap and free, but like attraction can be cheap and free too. Paul's got the super flex. What's up, my dude? How do you make sure to hire correctly and that your employees are actually doing what they're supposed to do? That's a bit of a loaded question, Paul, but I'll tell you the biggest thing I learned on that is 3 words: paid trial assignments. So if I'm trying to hire a video editor, I say, hey, I'll pay you $10 to edit a video for me, and I'll give that task to like 50 people, knowing that only 10 of them are going to do it good, and 5 of them I won't like the way they communicate or whatever, and I'll end up with like 3 to 5 good ones, and then I might give a second test to the 3 to 5 good ones, and then I'll end up with 2 or 3 good ones, and I might interview and choose one of those. But the easiest way to find out somebody can do the job is make them do the job. So like, if you ever watch like Kitchen Nightmares with Gordon Ramsay, every now and then they hire a chef. This is what they do: cook us something, right? How else are you going to learn about resume? You could ask them about their last job. You could all those different things, but you'll learn more just by rule. I test people on the thing they're going to do, and I pay them for it, like a small fee, but I pay them to do a test. And that saves me massive amount of hiring mistakes, because I see how so like, I'll tell you things that trip people up. People will ask 50 questions that are already in the instructions. So I already know you can't follow instructions. That's one reason people disqualify themselves. A lot of people just never do it. They'll say all the right things and never do it. That's obviously a disqualifier. Some people will, they'll say like, I can't figure out how to get paid. I can't open a Wise account. I can't open a PayPal account. If you can't figure out how to open an account, like, that tells me a little bit about your problem solving skills, right? So you learn things about them. Costco membership. I want to know who Costco membership is. You're always on these, but Frankie, when you worked with law firms, what pain points were the most effective for selling SEO? I'm still working with law firms, just, but I have clients who've been with me for like, 6 years or longer. So I still have law firms on my roster, just so you know. Pain points. There's a few. So I'll tell you, this works in almost any industry for selling SEO in general. So what most people do when they go to sell SEO is they talk about what we refer to as future gain: more leads, more sales, more customers, more patients, more clients, better tomorrow. Problem with better tomorrow is it's in the distant future. That goes in the nice to have. If you want to sell more SEO, you have to make it a today problem. And the easiest way in any industry to make SEO a today problem is to do the research right in front of them and show them people who are beating them today. And lawyers, by the way, will say shit like, that guy, he's a terrible fucking lawyer. He's never even tried a fucking case. That motherfucker, that's the guy beating me. Fuck him. But it sets the stage for them wanting to do something. So I'll just do a typical search. I'll go personal injury lawyer. Let's say we're in Denver. I'll go personal injury lawyer, Denver. And I'll go, these are the 3 guys ahead of you. Do you know Dave Schwartz? Do you know Jim Smith? Do you know, did you know these guys were ahead of you right now? Were you aware of that fact? Because I just did the search now, and I'm kind of twisting the knife home in that I'm making it a today problem. Is you're losing business now, not you will have a better tomorrow. If you can do that, I promise you'll sell more SEO. And by the way, what most people do wrong with this is they talk about competitors in an abstract sense. I want you to know it's Jim Smith that's fucking you. I want you to know the specific guy that's like the bully at the playground who's taking your lunch money every day. I want you to know his name. And chances are they already know his name, but they didn't know because they don't watch their SEO like we do, right? So, like don't talk about analysis and don't talk about links and don't talk about more leads and sales tomorrow. Show them the motherfucker who's taking their lunch money now. And I promise their motivation to want to fix it will go from like 0 to 97 in about 5 minutes. I'm just going to go back to the doc here from questions we had. We actually didn't have a ton of questions this week, it's a light week. Armando says, hey, all, I have a question. I just saw a training where Frankie talks about how to use Facebook groups to find prospects. Is it in the 90-day challenge or somewhere else? I actually have not really done, Armando, a formal training on getting people from Facebook groups. I'm actually doing a long form training on all the ways you can get clients for free that don't involve cold DMing people, which is what everybody says you have to do. But I wanted to elaborate a little bit on this. So I'll tell you kind of like my process for getting people if you're going to use Facebook communities. And there's a couple of different things you can do that sort of run in unison, that or run in parallel maybe, that all like sort of work together, and you can do one of them, you can do all of them. So the first thing that I do is I find communities where my ideal buyers hang out. And sometimes people think overly simplistic about this. So like, let's say I'm trying to sell to plumbers. I'm not, but like, let's just pretend for a second I am. You can go to Facebook or LinkedIn and you can type in plumbers and you'll probably find like 5 to 10 good communities. And that's enough if you want to. You can like actually do that. But I also look for niche communities of buyers that are related to the things they sell. So I've learned that often the things they buy often have communities. So like, let's say, for example, the top plumbing coach is Joe Johnson. I used too much Smith already. Joe Johnson. So we can go to Joe Johnson's community and join there. And those are already proven plumbing buyers who at least buy coaching programs and have spent money leveling up. Or the author who wrote the book may have a community. Or the software, like let's say they use, ABC Plumbing Inc. to do all their like CRM stuff. That may have a community. Different services might have, the guy who does accounting for plumbers might have plumbing for accounting for plumbers, whatever. So I look for all the different communities, the industry associations, plumbing, the National Plumbers Association may have a community. And so I look for all the different communities. And then my first job is just to figure out which ones are actually active, right? So I might join like 20 of them and I might end up using only like 5 of them, but I want to use the 5 that are most active. Now, what's key with this is if you're going to go into communities, don't spam them. Don't harass people. I'll tell you like a little in a second, just what I'm looking for. So the next thing that I want to do is once I found some active communities, what I then like to do is ask questions to do the market research. Sometimes you have to use AI because some niches just aren't very active and talkative. Like we got somebody who just messaged me and said, I sell veterinarians, and doctors are just, they're doing paperwork and shit like that. They're just not super active on social media as a general rule. But if they are active, even at all, I will ask questions to do market research. Couple of questions that I typically ask. I'll ask, why would you tell somebody not to start this business? Because the answer to that is all the problems in their industry. I will ask which kind of clients, customers, patients, jobs do you wish you had less of? And also which ones do you had more of? And I don't usually ask those in the same question. And I'm allowing the research to steer me with here's what you should sell. If they say, oh, I really wish I had patient type X, then my service is going to focus on we help bring you patient type X. So before I do anything, I like intentionally ask questions and actively listens to answers. And sometimes, by the way, sometimes if you just search, Those questions have already been asked. Also, I'll usually take like 2, 3 hours and just scroll through, and I'll see what kind of questions they're asking, where they're getting stuck, and where they're focused on. These two things, by the way, entering the marketplace with these up will make you more money than what most people do, which is how do I sell my GHL thing? I'm going, where are they stuck? What questions they have? What's not working? What do they wish they could do differently? Where are the holes? Those kind of things. And you can do that, by the way, without making a single post. So that's what I then do, is get clarity about what's going on with these people. Then what I will then typically do to sort of get myself out there is two things. One is I will look for buyers on the platform. And what I think is people think too narrowly about the concept of a buyer. So what I mean by that is a buyer is anybody who buys shit related to growth, marketing, sales, up leveling. So if they ask a question like, hey, has anybody used Tony T's hiring service? I'm trying to up level and I'm spending money doing it. What most people are looking for is for them to say, who do you recommend for SEO? And they very rarely ask that question directly. Or sometimes they'll say like, hey, is anybody going to be at ABC event this year? Well, I know events aren't free, so you're spending money to be there. And so what I'll do is I'll friend all the buyers on the platform. And what it'll do is it'll create an audience of buyers. And so then what I'll do is typically take that out of the community. So I'm not like spamming them, not breaking any rules. And Facebook allows you, and I believe LinkedIn does as well, to create lists. So I can go only show my posts to these people. So like you got friends and family on Facebook, you don't want them seeing your dentist thing, whatever. I can just go show this post only to the dentist. And then I'll say a thing like, hey, we've figured out how to get patients type X who's interested in that. And when like say, 15 dentists raise their hand. Now, when I'm quote unquote cold DMing them, they've asked for that info. They've said, I'm interested in that info. Hey, Dr. Jones, you raised your hand about your interest in patient type X, and I was just checking out, you guys do this in Nebraska. Can I share a little bit about what I had in mind for you? Right? That's not an unwelcome message like a lot of them, because they've actually raised their hand and said, tell me more about it. In fact, I'll usually specify somewhere in my post that I intend to take the conversation outward. And then the other thing that sounds really fucking stupid and simple, but nobody does it, is if you just give helpful answers in the community, people will find their way to you. And then one of the things you have to do is on whatever platform you're active, usually Facebook or LinkedIn, they both kind of function the same, is you have to think about your profile as a landing page. So you got like a header image, you got a little blurb about here's what we do. If I'm trying to sell to dentists, then my header image needs to say, hey, we help dentists get patient type X. And my little blurb needs to say, hey, if you're interested in getting patient type X, come here and learn more. And then what happens is I do sell them over the DMs, but I'm not messaging people randomly. The other thing that I'll do sometimes in communities is if somebody has specifically asked a question, then I'll switch it over to DMs, and I'm not like cold DM. So if they say, for example, hey, has anybody used this industry software? We're expanding right now, and we're not sure which one we should go with, A or B. I'll just message that guy. Hey, Dave, saw your post about, whether you should use A or B. I don't personally use it. I'm just a marketing guy, but a lot of people in the industry have told me they like A way better than B, and B's maybe cheaper, but it has a lot of like glitches and stuff like that. Sounds like you guys are up leveling. If I were you, I'd go with A. And by the way, you often don't have to sell anything, because giving them a helpful answer, if your profile is optimized like a landing page, they'll click your shit. They'll go, who is this person? And they'll often come to you without any sort of effort, simply because you were valuable to them. And that is the gist of getting people with communities. And then once they raise their hand and say, I'm interested, then I transfer those over to conversations. And I consider somebody asking a question that I know the answer to a sort of hand raiser, because they're saying, I need help with this thing. And so I'll message them and say, hey, it sounds like you need help with this thing. Right. And I'm not just a random dipshit in your inbox anymore, which is how most people do it. And also, like, I don't want to talk to people where I'm just a random dipshit. I want to talk to people who've said, I'm interested in growth. I'm interested in, getting patient type X. But that's kind of like more or less how I personally get people from Facebook communities. I will do a training on that at some point and make it more visual. But like, and by the way, you can do that in less than like 20 minutes a day. You go in the group, you friend the active buyers, you make a post, who's interested in blah, blah, blah. You listen, you ask questions, you become a contributing member, and all the promotional stuff you actually do outside of the community. You just find the people to sell to, because I'm looking for two things inside of the community: buyers, people who spend money, and also active, right? Because like I'm on LinkedIn and I'm a buyer of certain things, but I'm not active. I log in like once a month. So you could post all day long in front of me and I would just never see it. So part of the other thing is, if they're active in a group, they're going to be active on the platform, and therefore they'll actually see the things you're posting. And then this allows you to build an audience of people you want to sell to. And then what happens is I just put stuff in front of them and they think they discovered me. It's a really amazing phenomenon that you'll go into a community. I'll friend 150 dentists that are active in there. And then I'll go, hey, dentist, who's interested in getting patient type X? And when you start talking to them, they'll say, hey, yeah, I discovered a post about yours where you were talking about getting patient type X. And they don't remember the part where you actively joined the community and friended them and then put stuff in front of them. They think they stumbled onto your shit, which changes the power dynamic from I'm a cold, because like I always say, heart surgeons don't knock on your door to sell heart surgery. You come to the expert, right? And so it allows for that expert positioning of I found you, ... In reality, you put your stuff in front of them. It's kind of like, if I wanted to sell to people who went to the gym and I put a billboard right in front of the gym, people would be like, yeah, I saw your billboard on the way to the gym. But it's like, yeah, because I put it there, right? It's like, it ain't random. So anyways, I hope that helps, Armando, or anyone else trying to do that. Let me just catch up on comments. Thank you, Sensei. You got it. Buy my shit. Buy my shit. We should start a new biz, Beyond the Smoke. We should start a new biz called Buy My Shit. I like that one. Once you hire someone, how did you make sure they're doing their job well? Well, I measure people by outputs. So like if I got a video editor, are they making videos? If I have a social media person, are they doing their social media? If I got an ads person or like a media buyer, are the ads working, right? Like I judge them by the output. I've learned, I used to try and make people work a certain number of hours, and I would always like track hours and be like that guy. And now I say, I don't care what hours you work. I just want outcomes. As long as you're ethically delivering outcomes and like you're doing what I need done, then I'm happy with it. And if you don't need to bullshit me and tell me you put 8 hours of screen time. In fact, I don't want you to put 8 hours of screen time. If it only takes you 3 hours, then I only want 3 hours. But I'm a stickler I want it done well and I want it done right. And then I just hold people to the outcomes. Hi, Frankie. I'm running Facebook ads to get clients. CTA has messaged me instead of book a call. Deciding between the two options. One, offer a concrete give up front. I'll show you the ad. I'll run for you. Or two, leave it open, get them to DM, then open the pain point questions to move into the sales. I don't think that's an either or, by the way. Anyways, with two, I'm not sure there's a benefit for them to reach out. With, I'm not sure you can steer back into a real close after that give, because it seems more like a lead magnet. How do you play with this? I would do both, just so you know. Like if it was me, Alex, I'd be like, hey, can I show you an example ad that I would want to run for you? And then I would show them. And also it helps if you do the research and you understand the kind of person they're trying to go after. So we got Kyle messaged me a couple of days ago. He's running some new Facebook ads for landscapers. And they don't want just jobs. Most jobs are just mowing lawns and trimming bushes. They want big backyard projects. So when he shows an example ad, it's let me show you what an ad would look like for you to get big backyard projects. And then I would just say, hey, like it's a conversation. It's dynamic. And this is just done over chat, by the way. They don't need to book a call to do it. I just say, hey, can I ask you a question about it? Like, tell me, like, usually this is my go-to question for them to open up about their problems. I'll say, do you mind sharing a little about your situation and what you're looking to do? And in that scenario, when they explain what's going on now, they will hit on problems, and almost always what they will do is they will give you their problems at what I call the 30,000 foot view. So they'll say things like, we've been slow. We haven't had enough leads. We've been getting mostly tire kickers. But they don't really go into detail about it. So my very next question after they give me the problem is to ask more detail about that. And you can sometimes like literally just quote them and add a question mark. Not enough leads? Been slow? Question mark? things like that. Getting mostly tire kickers, ? Because that's different things to different people. And I want to know, how slow is slow? How many leads is not enough leads? What do you mean when you say a tire kicker? Like, there's a lot of things that represent a tire kicker, right? Like, they don't have any money. They're not picking up the phone. Like, those are all different things. And so, but I would start with, here's an example ad. And then I'd say, do you mind if I ask you a little bit about what you're doing? Hey, do you mind telling me a little bit about your situation, what you're looking to do? They'll give you the problem. I ask more detail about it. And then I say, hey, yeah, it sounds like what you're trying to do in this would be a really good fit. Can I share a little bit about what I would like to do for you? Loom video. That's how I typically do it. Hey, Frankie, I'm in the property investment space. Our goal is to raise capital for our deals. Our target investor, business owners with surplus capitals. How would you go about attracting those clients? If that is Aaron, I actually just answered that earlier, but I'll kind of give you some of the bullet points. You can check out the replay because that was the first question I answered. The bullet points on that, though, are just so you know. If you want to raise capital, you have to demonstrate you have what the investor wants, which is either return on investment, what that would look like to get deal money, and or what it looks like to have a deal under market value. And it has to be a demonstration of something real. So like I mentioned this, for me, when I get paid, it's usually from a title company. So in our real estate stuff, ABC Title is wiring money to your account. That's the email I get and an amount. So I would demonstrate an email like that and say, I want to bring you people. I want to bring you stuff like this. If you're willing to invest, I can bring you returns like that. Or I would focus on, here's a deal that I got that's $80,000 under market value. And if you help me come up with the capital, we can split a $40,000 check and your money will be secure. What do you think? But you got to make your pitch stupid, simple, and visual if you want to raise capital. I see XA Slave will be at will I be able to get a link to this live for later? Yeah, actually, YouTube just automatically saves it to the channel. There's different tabs when you go to a channel. There's video, shorts, lives. You click on the lives, it'll be there. And you just do that. Let me see we only had one more question about, it said, hey, Frankie, great video, loads of gems. If a market has a hiring issue, which they keep on getting unreliable staff, they don't show up, take drugs, how can we solve that? Thanks again for showing us the next steps for when we do get our first clients. Okay, so that was a comment below one of the videos. I wanted just to elaborate on this, okay? So one of the things that comes up a lot of times when you do market research, especially you guys, this person is obviously in trades, home services kind of things, HVAC, plumbing, general contractors, fence guys, deck guys, landscapers, people who do those kind of things. Often they will say, we don't need more leads. We need more good help. And I'll tell you, I do not understand why more people don't sell. We'll get you good help, because they're literally telling you that's their problem. And then they'll wonder, how do I get them good help? And I'll tell you one of the cheat codes I learned about hiring. I struggled with hiring for a lot of years until I realized it's just a lead generation process like anything else. You create ads and you hopefully make your company an irresistible offer, good pay, good benefits, flexible hours, growth opportunities. That's making your offer top notch. Then you post those ads, and if you can, you amplify them. You post them everywhere you can to get maximum distribution. Monster, Indeed, Craigslist, wherever the fuck you can post, jobs where you're at. And if you're not sure, you can ask AI, where can I post jobs? You can sometimes run Facebook ads to hiring as well. Although usually I think that's a special category and you got to get a little extra layer of approval. And what happens is you will get applications, people saying, I want to work for you. Now, by the way, when clients get leads, does it work better if you respond to those leads quickly or if you take a long time? Obviously quickly. So if somebody applies to work for a company, should you wait 30 days to get back to them? Or do you think if they're not a deadbeat, they're going to go get a job somewhere else, right? Especially if there's jobs available in their area, if the market's okay enough, right? They're going to go get hired somewhere else. So the reason why a lot of companies, by the way, have shitty, deadbeat, drunk ass, fucking retarded workers is they're just getting whoever walks in and says, yeah, y'all hiring right now? And they don't specifically go advertise. They don't write good ads that they'll just say, looking for a, pipe fitter, apply now. But they don't explain why this is a good company and why you'd want to work for it and why top talent, hey, we pay well. Hey, we have flexible hours. Hey, we got growth opportunities, things like that. They don't have a good offer and they don't follow up with those people. They don't have, and then they don't have a systematic way of testing those people. So like for me, like I'd be really upfront in my ad. If you don't show up and you're a drug addict, don't apply. We will not take you on, right? Here's a simple thing you can do, by the way, in the hiring process is in the last sentence of your ad, if you actually read this ad, I want you to write apples in your reply or something like that. And if they don't write apples, they didn't read it and they're not going to be attention to detail later if they're not attention to detail now. So, like that's hiring in a nutshell. But what most people don't realize is like in this game is they're not even posting ads. And if they do, those ads suck. And then if they get any leads at all, they take fucking forever to get back to people. So if you're going to bring them good candidates, you got to write really good ads. You got to post them. And it's just lead generation. You're qualifying and you're following up quickly. And you're qualifying and you're following up quickly. Hey, we're not looking for no fucking, have you ever been in rehab? Might be a qualifying question. Right? Have you ever been to rehab? Right? No offense to you if you have. I think but like that's not what we're looking for around here. We want somebody who can like be reliable, show up on time. What we need from you. And in fact, I usually don't do resumes and cover letters and what everybody else does. I'll just say, tell me in 3 sentences or less why you're reliable, why you'll show up on time, why you'll be a good candidate. Sell you as a candidate and write the word apples to show me you read this. And you'll learn more about people from that. So, but once you understand that hiring is just the lead generation process, no different than anything else, you'll be so much better at it. Because instead of just like settling for whoever just randomly applies, you'll proactively put it out there and then you'll attract candidates and you'll do a lot to filter. And then whoever's left, you'll follow up with quickly and you'll bring them good candidates in the process. In fact, I've thought about, I don't actually want to do it because I don't want to deal with the logistics, but instead of starting another Me Too marketing agency selling missed call text back, I would way rather like, we'll bring you candidates and you can skim, anywhere from $3 to $5 an hour off of any good candidate you bring them. I wouldn't even sell it as an agency, like pay me $1,000 a month or, $5,000 per qualified candidate. I'd be like, hey, we'll just bring you the qualified people and we'll pay their salary directly and you pay us their hours. And there would be a spread between those two things. You bring them 5 people, you're making $25 an hour and you ain't even doing any work. Right? Like they're keeping those people. So I've thought about doing that for a long time. I don't have the bandwidth to do it, but I'll tell you the opportunity is there. It's literally all over. And it's an easy to sell offer too. Like I'll bring you a qualified candidate. You just pay their hourly and I'll take care of it. And they might just ask for, a deposit of like, hey, we ask you to pay the first week up front. And if we don't find you anybody, you can have that money back kind of thing. And I just post ads, Craigslist Monster filter for them. It's not as hard as people think, but I think especially in home services, more agencies like that need to exist because the number of times people have said, we don't need leads, we don't need sales, we don't need jobs. We need help for the jobs we already have. Like we don't know how to find good people and they aren't doing dick fuck all about it because they don't know anything about marketing. They don't know how to post ads and get found. And if they do, they write really bad ads. They're like usually like 3 sentences, now hiring, send resume. And then they take a month to get back to people. So anybody who would be good is long fucking gone by the time they reply to them. So anyways, hope that helps. Hello from Colombia. We just survived the earthquake. I didn't even know you had one, but damn. Just a statement, pre-building sites with AI and sending it to companies on Google without a website is a crazy good hand raiser right now. Yeah, and just so you know, we actually have a couple of people doing variations of that. And it's a demonstration. Rather than you saying, I know how to make websites, are you interested in WordPress? Actually sending them an example website and going, this could be you, is way more powerful than any amount of words. So like that's demonstrations 101. Like if you want, I could make you this. Yes or no. And by the way, that also works if you sell it to people with existing websites. You can create spin-off websites. You can say, hey, like if I was selling roofers, I might identify the $100 bill like a big commercial project, or maybe like metal roofs or solar panels. And I'd say, hey, I want to make you an additional website just to sell your commercial roofing. Looks like this. Would you be interested? And it's the picture that does the selling, by the way, not the. And by the way, to our Colombian friend's point here, that can all be automated with AI tools, from the finding the people, sending the messages, follow up, creating the images, hold on down the line. But if you skip the sending the image part, like none of that will work as well. Most people, when they message people, they don't demonstrate with a picture, I can help you. They just say with words. I know because I get pitched on YouTube all fucking day long. I actually just had to change my email address because I was getting pitched so much. And it's all bullshit. As George Carlin would say, it's all bullshit and it's all bad for you. Lazarus, what's up, dude? I haven't seen you in a while. How would you fix the bottleneck of not being seen enough by ideal niche or prospect? My offer converts at this point. I just need eyeballs and a shit ton of them. One of two things, if it was me. One, run ads. If it's just an eyeball issue and the offer converts, like run ads. And if you don't have the budget to do that, or I would find all the shoe stores in your industry and go co-create content with them and get your shit found that way. I call these shoe stores. These are all the people in your space who already have buying audiences. So I'll just put that in brackets, buying audiences. That's my terminology, a shoe store. But usually that's when paid ads work the best, is when you're just amplifying shit. I don't like using paid ads as a try and figure it out because you'll lose money figuring it out. But if it's working, paid ads are the ultimate amplification tool. In fact, like that's, I think, like the number one, when you want to run paid ads for clients, that's the number one slam dunk you want, is somebody whose shit's already converting organically. Now it's just like, let's just speed it up. Hey, Frankie, does your cheap leads method, your cheap YouTube leads method still work? Yes. I'm gonna give you a little wrist slap, just so you know. Everything I teach is principle based. You guys experience it as a method, like a hack or whatever. I'll show you actually. Like, let me actually see if I can post a screenshot. I'll tell you what my numbers are today on Google Ads. Let me open up Google Ads real quick. And these are all YouTube ads, by the way, for our shit. Let's look at all time. So my shit's been seen 91 million times and been clicked 430,000 times, and it's for 6 cents a click. Can I paste this? Can I paste an image in the chat? Let's find out. Doesn't look like it. Let me see if I can put that image in. Hold on a sec here. Give me 1 sec, guys. I'm just putting this on my Google Drive because I'm going to demonstrate the answer rather than just tell you with words that yes, it works. But it takes me a second to share an image. Where we got this shit? Where's my downloads folder? There we go. Wow. share. Anybody with image can see it. All right, so this is my Google Ads, and I only really run YouTube ads on Google Ads. There you go. So I don't know, 6 cents click. Those numbers are in Canadian too. So my 6 cent clicks are probably like more like 4.5 cents in real money. 430,000 clicks, been seen 100 million times. I'd say they're doing all right. But here's what I want to tell you about it, okay? So all of my stuff can seem like I do a lot of different shit because I run Facebook ads, I run YouTube ads, I run Reddit ads, I run Twitter ads. I'm going to be adding TikTok ads. I also I run Google Display ads. I do organic stuff. I do shoe stores. I post content. So like that seems like a lot of different things. But if you understand they're all based on the same principles, then you'll understand they're actually really just the same thing. Okay, so 95% of what I do is based on two things. Where are the buyers? What am I offering them? Where are the buyers? What am I offering them? So when I go to run a YouTube ad, one of the things that I figured out is there are lots and lots of little niche channels that are based around things people in your industry spend money on. So like, for example, every industry has a CRM, like a software or tool that helps manage all the customers. And anybody who's doing volume of business has one or is about to get one. And by the way, all the broke people don't have a CRM. Like if you got 3 customers, you don't need a CRM. But if you got 7 locations and you're trying to manage it all, you need a CRM, right? So if I run YouTube ads to the CRM channel, I know that, yeah, okay, maybe not a lot of people watch that channel, but almost everybody who watches it is a buyer. And then I focus on what am I actually offering in the ad? And if you focus on those two things, there's a lot of different channels and a lot of different places you can make stuff work. So the basis of the YouTube methodology is we identify our hyper pockets of buyers, bing, and then we go offer. That's it. That's like 90% of it. Identify the people who buy, identify an offer that works, put those things in front of them. So it's not really a method because I'm always going to go where the fucking buyers are. And I'm always going to make offers to the buyers. So you can call it a method if you like, because it does use YouTube, but it's the same principles. And by the way, what do you think I do on Facebook? I go, where are the buyers already? What am I going to offer them? I'm like, that's really it. That's like 90% of the equation. The reason I ask, because targeting shoe stores on Google search is quite expensive, especially the software. Yeah, of course. That's why I invented it. In fact, actually, I have a name for that. I call that front door, side door. So when you go to run ads, there is almost always a way you can get in front of the people that are searching for what you sell, like on Google Ads, as mentioned. And the issue with that is that's the front door. And often the front door is the obvious way, and therefore it's the most expensive way. And the reason it's the most expensive way is because ads are an auction. And so where all the competition goes is where all the cost is. But there are always like niche things within advertisement that not everybody else is trying to bid on. And I call those side door opportunities. And it's simply on the understanding that certain things that people buy go together. So for example, often when people buy dinner on a Friday night, they also go to a show, dinner and a show, you know? And sometimes what you'll find is like, if I go to advertise my thing to the dinner crowd where everybody else is advertising, it can be really, really, really expensive. But it's literally the same person an hour later that Googles a show. And sometimes advertising on a show is 10% of the cost, and it's the same exact human being, like literally the same exact human being. So the whole point of the methodology is that like let's not go for the front door, obvious, really expensive thing. Let's identify the side door where it's the same person. It's just an hour later. And so the question I ask myself is, what else do they buy? Right. So like if you think about your client and they're investing money in a marketing agency, what else do they buy? I'll tell you some of the other things they buy: coaching programs, masterminds, courses. They hire consultants. They join industry associations. They go to events, workshops, retreats. They buy software. They buy tools, right? Like, especially like in trades, if a guy is like, here's an example. Like if a guy is a roofer and he's expanding and he's spending all kinds of money on marketing, he's also going to spend money on shingles, right? He's going to buy a lot of materials. And sometimes advertising on the shingle channel is a fraction of the cost of advertising roofing marketing, even though it's the same fucking person. The guy doing all the roofing marketing is the same guy buying all the roofing shingles. It's not a different human being. They're just at different stages of the buyer journey. They also buy other services, and not just marketing services, pay-per-click, SEO, websites, but they also buy like accounting. They also do like legal. They also do like investing. They also like have people help them find real estate and offices. So I identify all the other things they buy, and then I go, which one of these are side door opportunities? And I advertise on those. So it's not a method, really. It's only a method in the sense that YouTube may take away that targeting at some point. But having said that, like, I don't know, like side door opportunities are always going to exist in advertising platforms. And so if you can identify what goes with what, okay, does dinner work? If the front door obvious way is cheap enough, just advertise on dinner, but often that's not the case. And so I ask, what else did they buy with dinner? A show. Well, how about I advertise over here on the show? And I get the same person an hour later for 5% of the cost of if I had advertised to that same person at dinner. So that's all I'm really doing, just so you know. Do you have anything on how to set up paid ads? All my clients I have close through Loom. So I wouldn't want to do the traditional book call approach. What would you recommend for that? Yeah. So like, instead of like just book a call, just you put the fucking Loom video on the page and you go buy it and you go, and you give them a way to ask questions. Like sometimes I actually don't think it's a bad idea to let them schedule a call if they got a question or two, because they'll be like 95% of the way sold. And almost always that question is just going to be a variation of, here's my situation. Will it work for me in my specific situation? But yeah, so I don't know if you give me a little more detail on what you're trying to do specifically with paid ads, but typically, what I like to do, just so you know, with paid ads, if it's an unproven offer, meaning I don't know whether people are going to buy it or not, I try and get them to respond in a message me, DM us, drop a comment, whatever, fill out a form here on this page, so that now I have a two-way conversation. Because if it doesn't work, I want to be able to go back to that person and essentially ask them why. Why not? Why would you not buy this thing? Tell me why my shit's broken. If it's an offer in your case that you mentioned, no, that works, then I'm trying to automate the living shit out of it. I don't want to talk to anyone. I'm like, here's the offer. If you want to buy it, click the button. If you got a question, here's how you can ask a question. Otherwise, and I let video me have thousands of sales conversations. Derek says, holy shit. I'm assuming that's in response to the Google Ads thing that I posted. Have I always had the skill for simplifying things and solving them by going back to the fundamentals? Pretty much. I mean, dude, everything I do is fundamentals. I get hung up on the lots of BS details and wondering if there's light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah, I'll tell you just on that, Alex. I see things that I consider to be very bad advice online. I'm not picking on anyone because it's not like people who give bad advice are doing it maliciously, but I'm part of a lot of like Facebook ads groups and YouTube ads groups and places where like Google ads and places where people run advertisements, right? And all the time I see a variation of, it's not working, people aren't buying it. You can do the same thing with organic. Like I'm part of the GHL communities and, hey, nobody's buying my missed call text back service. Like I see the same kind of thing. And almost always the bad advice that follows is about the technical. So they'll say, like, what campaign setting did you use? Did you only scale your winners by this? Did you duplicate, your ads? And people don't ask basic fundamental questions going, what did you offer to the person on the other side of the ad? And I think as a general rule, if you understand people and problems and what they want, you'll make far, far more money. Another way this same sort of bad advice question gets asked is I'm part of a lot of groups where people say, hey, I'm brand new. I want to learn some skills so I can make some internet money. What skills should I learn? And they say, learn SEO, learn websites, and they send people down the tech rabbit hole. And all of those things can be outsourced, all of them, like literally all of them. To good people, there's more. Like if I want a good website, I can find 1,000 people who make a good. I can sell websites and run a web design agency without ever making a single website. I'll tell you what I think is the most valuable skill is offer making. Almost all of what I do is variations of offer making. Is like, if you can figure out how to package offers. And by the way, we're in the Wolfpack in our mastermind. One of the things that we're doing differently is most people do traditional lead generation. So you generate leads for a plumber, you do SEO, or you run some ads or whatever. The plumber gets incoming phone calls. But the conversion process, you pick up the phone and the what to say and what to do, that's your fucking problem. And what we're doing is the reason why their sales are hard is also an offer problem. And so we have people like Lana. She was working with yoga studio. I mean, she still works with yoga studio owners. But like, to give you an idea of the change that is possible, when she first started working with yoga studio owners, they have two offers traditionally. One is come try a free class. And then after you try the free class, would you like to become a member for $99 a month or whatever they charge? And they were so bad at the basics of picking up the phone and answering basic questions and scheduling people in that they couldn't even close free classes. That's how bad they were. And they'd say, Lana, they're all bad leads. Your ads, they're not bringing the right people. Meanwhile, like they're just fucking it up. And one day, I remember we were having this discussion and she said to me, like, this is driving me crazy. They're so bad at it. And I said, Lana, it is a free class. Why do they need to talk to somebody? Why can't it just be on the website? They click schedule, they grab a time, and then using the magic of GHL, you send 3-4 reminders so they actually show up. Like, why do they need to call and talk to somebody to get a free class? I don't understand. Just put the offer on a page. So she eventually did that. And then she had a studio and she said to them, I don't know the full details, but something like, hey, would you be down to test just selling your thing on a page? And so she created an intro, like 6 or 8 week yoga offer, and she put it on a site. And now she runs ads to the site. And rather than getting leads and opportunities, she puts the offer, the main thing, on the page with a buy now button, and they don't have to talk to anybody. And now people buy it right on the site. And so instead of saying to the yoga studio owner, like she was doing a year ago, going, hey, I'll get you leads and you got to follow up with them. You got to close them. You got to chase them. Now the landing page does all the selling because the selling is really based on the offer and the offer does the heavy lifting. And now she just goes, I'll bring you sales. I will. And so people, like, they literally sign up with her thing. She runs ads and they get payment notifications. So-and-so just paid you for your 8-week workshop. So-and-so just paid you. Payment. What do you think they like better, by the way? Like here's a call, figure it out, or here's paying clients coming through the door, serve them now, go do yoga with them, show them your best downward dog, show them that fine yoga booty. So I say that because I think the more you own the offer piece as a whole, both for yourself and for your clients, you'll make more money. And so I see a lot of bad advice. So my advice is keep the main thing the main thing. What are you actually offering people? Figure that out and all your shit will work better. When my ads don't work, I don't fix them by duplicating this and change this setting to that setting. It's never that. It's always like, well, what are we actually offering these people? What if we change this offer to that and tried this. And then like, oh shit, they like that offer. Like almost always. And that's the light at the end of the tunnel. When you figure that out, a lot of things that are previously difficult suddenly begin to click. Like a lot of people ask me about Loom videos and closing those, but the magic of the Loom video is we have an offer and we demonstrate that offer, right? We have a winning offer and we demonstrate the offer to show them like, this is real. We can really do this for you. Like if I was sitting with a prospect and I had a paper towel, I could sketch out the offer on the fucking paper towel and close them. And there would be internet marketers out there that'd be like, can you teach me your paper towel method? I'm like, dude, it ain't the fucking paper towel. It was what I was offering. The paper towel is just where I wrote that shit down, which is why, by the way, sometimes we do the same sort of offer structure in a Google Doc instead of a Loom video. And it's the same format. It works because it works. So I just share that with you because to me, the fundamentals are buyers and offers. That's the fundamentals. Everything else outside of that is just noise. And people who obsess about tech and I'm going to learn skills and I'm going to get certified in this and that almost always end up broke. People are like, who are these people that are buying and what do they want? Like tend to make a lot more money. And it can be that simple. I'm not saying it's easy. It's simple. Simple and easy are different. Simple is like, there's not a lot of steps. Easy is like, oh, it's so easy. My cat's left testicle could do it. I don't think your cat's left testicle could do it, right? But I think it's simple. Like there's not a lot of steps in it. 6 cent ads, Canadian CPC is wild. Not to get into the weeds, but does YouTube use AI to place your ad or do you choose your niche channel, so to speak? I choose all my niche channels and they're all. So I have my own tools. I posted one above to find the shoe stores. If you scroll up a little bit. And then if you want to, you can just go, okay, find all the YouTube channels of the things they're buying. And then there's a section, you can only do it in, I forget what they call it, but it's like reach campaigns or whatever. You can't do it as like a conversion campaign, but if you choose like video reach or something like that, there's a section in there that goes placements. Where do you want to show it? And I put all those channels in. You can't always target 100% of them. Like sometimes YouTube will only find like 60% of them. It's like if I have 100 of them and I put all 100 in, it'll only like actually find 60 of them for whatever reason. But I just run ads on those 60 channels. And then I focus on like get my shit in front of the buyers is basically what I'm doing. But yes, 6 cents Canadian. I haven't even spent that much money on it. And there's reasons, by the way, I don't spend more money on it because our ads don't work. Mostly because I have like daily limits on my account and I have to like divvy up like, you know, paying employees, things like that. But if I had higher limits on my cards, I would literally spend more money. I hate Canadian banks, by the way, for that reason. I found your Flood Jobs channel. You drive people to a contact form instead of a checkout. Is it better than just checkout? Yeah, part of the reason I've done that historically in that case, two reasons. Okay, just so you know, reason number one is when I built that, it was a new offer and I didn't know if it worked. So I actually wanted conversations, usually like 5 to 10 people. The first 5 to 10 people I close, I actually want conversations. I try not to automate it until I know it's working. So that's part of the reason I drove them to a form. Because the reason I want that is if it doesn't work, I can go back to the person and be like, hey, like, and here's my magic question, by the way, to troubleshoot it. I'll say, other than the money, is there any other reason you wouldn't buy it? Usually they'll tell you, and you won't be able to close that person typically, just so you know, but they'll tell you what's broken in your offer to go fix for the next person. So that's one reason. And then the other reason is because I was selling SEO, my Loom videos were kind of custom for each person. So we did eventually sell it by video. But they're like, you know, like each person's sort of analysis is a little bit individual and different. So I'd spend like 5 or 10 minutes just cranking out a video, running an analysis for them, doing what I showed you guys, which is show them where they're losing business now. Not, hey, I'm going to make you so much money tomorrow. You know, more leads, more sales, top Google rankings. That's what everybody does. I'd be like, did you know ABC Restoration is like, they're getting like I bet you they're making like 300,000-400,000 a year just off this one keyword. Did you know? Were you aware of that? Yeah, 60% list, 30% offer. That is basically, just so you guys, 90% of success with marketing. 60%, are you marketing to the right people? 30%, what are you offering them? If you get those two details right, a lot of other details can be wrong, and vice versa. If you get those two details wrong, almost nothing you say or do will work, and you'll question your sanity. Do I recommend to start with YouTube or Facebook ads first? And for YouTube, what does the ad look like? I'm at the point as well where the loom is custom for each client situation. Have a Google Ads offer for the highest revs and GBP SEO for the lower revs. I know it's probably not the best answer, but it depends on who you're trying to reach. So, 60% of the list, I just go where your audience is. I know you've told me before, Lazarus, but like I have 1,000 who you're working with. But I just go whatever platform they're more active on. Usually Facebook ads is a better starting place, but not always. Again, it depends who you're trying to reach. And then as far as the ads that I do on Facebook and the ads that I do on YouTube, again, this is where like principle based, not like the kind of ads I do. I'm doing a lot of hand motion here. Wax off. The ads that I run, they work on people. And so almost always my first test is what I call a hand raiser. And a hand raiser is as a format. And these are the same thing I do on Facebook, same thing I do on YouTube, the same thing I do face-to-face, the same thing I do if I'm having a conversation with somebody. It's the same thing I do as a post organically. It's the same thing I do if I'm publishing content. I call out the type of person. Hey, dentist. Then I call out a specific symptom that is showing up in their reality. Hey, are you slow right now? And you're finding that you're only getting these low margin sort of patients that you can barely pay your hygienist with. Then I promise an outcome. If we could help you get patient type X instead, would you want to learn more about that? Then I describe my new and exciting way out. I say, you used to do it this way, but this is a better way of doing it. So for a lot of you guys, the existing way for your clients is word of mouth, referrals, Angie's lists, shit like that. Use SEO, whatever. And we found this is a better way. And your better way is however you get them a result. We found it's better to just get patient type X off of Facebook ads. We found it's better to get patient type X straight from Google. We found it's best to get patient type X if you do database reactivation right from your own list. And then sometimes I specify without timer. Timer is every reason people say yes or no to you. Time, identity, money, energy, reputation. Time, identity, money, energy, reputation. So time, our shit's faster than whatever you're doing. Identity, do you really want to be a salesperson or do you just want to be a dentist? Money, saves you money compared to what you're doing now. Energy, it's easier. Reputation, I'm going to make you known as the patient type X doctor. So if I put all that together in an ad, again, call out the person, symptom, we can get you outcome instead, using new and exciting way out, which saves you all these timer benefits, and then a call to action. However, I want them to respond. So if I was running a new ad to a dentist, whether that was a Facebook ad or a YouTube ad, it'd be like, hey, dentist, if you're getting all the low margin patients, you can barely pay your hygienist, and when you're slow, especially, you're really feeling that overhead, we figured out how to get high margin patient type X people. Most dentists are just relying on word of mouth and referrals, but we figured out it's a lot smarter to go advertise to them on Facebook with stupid, simple ads like these that speak to the problems of people with patient type X, which saves you time of having to see thousands of low margin patients. And did you really want to figure out all this social media shit anyway? It'll save you a whole bunch of money of having your hygienist busy with work that doesn't even pay the bills. It's easier than the shit you're doing right now. And you can become known as the patient type X dentist in your area. If you'd like to learn more about this, simply drop the comment patient X below and we'll be in touch. And then I gauge the success of the ad, whether or not dentists say, tell me more about it. And usually early in the advertising game, I'm not looking for sales. I'm looking for interest. I'm looking for people to go, tell me more about that, because all high ticket sales begin with curiosity. So I think people have false expectations that you turn on the ads and they will ninja hurl credit cards at you. But in actuality, you turn on the ads and people say, I'm interested. Or they don't, and you try another ad. But that's how I do everything. So my YouTube ads are hand raisers. My Facebook ads are hand raisers. My content is a hand raiser. I just gave you guys the whole formula. That's what I do. If you ever see one of my YouTube ads, it'll just say, hey, water damage restoration guy, if you got this problem, we can help you get this outcome using this new and exciting way out, which saves you all these timer benefits. If you'd like to learn more about it, go here. That's it. It's all my ads that I've ever created. When you were starting out, how did you handle the slow grind of cold outreach without relying on ads? Did you use cold calls, or was there a better approach you found? I found a lot better approach, just so you know. And I got asked this so many times that I did this in the 90-day challenge. So there's an assumption in our industry that has been taught by other quote unquote gurus. I'm not one of those people that shares this ideology, but it says, if you want to grow an agency, you have to cold call, you have to do outreach, and no, you motherfucking do not. I have found that there are 7 ways to grow an agency. They all work. I don't recommend them all equally, but they all work. And there are probably some other ways that work that I don't know of. So one of those is what you mentioned. I call that 1-to-1. Cold DMs, cold messages, cold calling. You can probably include direct mail in there. Then there are ads, Facebook ads, YouTube ads. Probably the most common. Sometimes people run LinkedIn ads, but you run ads and you put your ads in front of people. Way number 3, you are looking at. It is called content. You publish content and you do it long enough in a certain industry, people discover your content, come to you, they reach out to you without effort. Way number 4, it's kind of boring, but it's the fastest way to hit 10K a month, just so you know. Networking. You go to the BNI meetings, you go to the Chamber of Commerce, or you go to industry-specific conferences. If you're trying to sell to plumbers, you go to Plumbing Con. If you go to, if you're trying to sell to dentists, you go to the Dental Industry Association of America, and you go to their events and you meet dentists. Way number 5, referral partners. These can be engineered on purpose. The more you help people who know the people you want to do, the more they're going to want to help you back. Number 6 is what I call shoe stores, is you find people in your space with buying audiences and you co-create stuff with them and then they distribute it in their audience. So for example, if I was trying to sell to dentists, it would be easier for me to get on the top dental podcast, reach 10,000 dentists at once than to try and message 10,000 dentists one at a time. And then way number 7 is with like job sites, Freelancer, or I guess there's no more Freelancer, Upwork, Fiverr, shit like that. I'm not a fan of Freelancer and Upwork, and those are Upwork and Fiverr, although it works, but you'll usually not get past like 5 or 10K a month there. I'm not saying it can't be done. It's just very rarely do I meet people who do really, really well on those platforms, mostly because the nature of the buyer going there is to look for the cheapest solution, right? Like they want to shop 10,000 vendors at once. My second least favorite is the 1-to-1 that you're being told you have to do. When I did the 90-day challenge and I wanted to build it up as fast as possible, I went to people with buying audiences and I co-created stuff. And I believe if you pursue distribution first, distribution is where the buying audiences are, you'll make sales faster. In my second book, right there, Passive Automated Recurring Income, I talk about if there's 2 farmers and they're trying to sell eggs, Andy and Bob. Andy does what you have been told you have to do. He does all the 1-to-1. He knocks on doors, says, I got farm fresh eggs, 2 for 1, organic. Andy's going to go home at the end of the day exhausted from knocking on so many doors. He'll make some egg sales if he does it like long enough. Bob also does outreach, but he does it in a different way. He does outreach for distribution. So Bob goes to Whole Foods and says, hey, Whole Foods, I can supply you with eggs. Would you be interested in that? Then he goes to Meijer and says, hey, I can supply you with eggs. Then he goes to Walmart, says, I can supply you with eggs. Then he goes to Trader Joe's, says, I can supply you with eggs. And then on day 5, he gets a call back from Walmart and says, Walmart says, okay, we'll give you 100 stores. Who do you think is going to sell more eggs? The guy who gets his eggs sold in 100 stores, or the guy who does it 1-to-1? So I'm a big believer in what I call shoe store marketing. Find the people buying audiences, co-create with them, let them take care of the distribution. For me personally, because somebody mentioned I had a YouTube channel in the water damage restoration space, I actually remember I published a video on my own channel that I had just created brand new. It got 2 views, like sad me, depressed, 2 views. And then I published something in the industry association. They had these Ask the Expert 5-minute interviews. And I was like, let's do an Ask the Expert 5-minute interview. It had between 5 and 10,000 views in the first 24 hours. And all of those people were buyers in their audience. Did I get any better at YouTube? Was what I was saying any more polished? Was my offer any different? They just already had the distribution. So yeah, you can cold call and cold DM till you're fucking blue in the face. But I would way rather co-create stuff with the people who have the audiences, and you'll get your stuff covered and you'll reach people a lot faster because they've already spent 10, 20 years building trust with audiences. And this is why success is more about who you know than what you know. And so to me, one of the first things I do is I've realized every industry has usually between 100 to 200 people that control like 90% of the commerce in that industry. Right? So like, for example, there's usually like 5 to 20 people who run all the big industry conferences in your industry. Those guys do an obscene amount of business compared to everyone else in the industry. So like you can do way more damage knowing one conference owner than you can. And by the way, they always need speakers. They always need help. They always need stuff behind the scenes, right? You just help them with their shit. They'll help you with yours. And you in turn get to reach way more people than you would without. That's how I like to do it. Having said that, if I wanted to get from 0 to 10K, which is where most of you guys are, fast, I would go to networking meetings. That's the fastest way to do it. And at every networking meeting, I would do 3 things. Okay. So, well, the first thing is before you do those 3 things, is when you meet somebody, I always talk about them, always. Hey, how long you been doing that? Oh, wow, that's cool. You got a partner? What's business like? What's your typical average client like? How long you guys been doing that? Where do you guys get your jobs, if you don't mind? And eventually, if you ask enough questions, they'll go, tell me about you. What do you do? And I always say demonstrations are more powerful than words. So I say, if you want, I'm a marketing guy, but I can just do it right now. And I check 3 things. You can do 3 things for every client, and you will be drastically more intelligent than they are. Thing number 1, Google their name. Show them what comes up. Reviews, reputation, their website. Often they don't know. I remember actually Kevin showed me like a couple of weeks ago. He had a landscaper hung a thing on his door. They're called door knockers. So he was in the neighborhood and hung a door knocker on his door. And it said, hey, ABC Landscaping. We do all these different landscaping things for all your landscaping needs. And then the call to action was Google our name. He Googled their name. They had 1 review for 3 stars. See anything wrong with that? Hey, did you know you only got 1 review and it's 3 stars? Thing number 2, pull up their website. If you're a marketer, it would be tough to know less about how to make a good website than your target client. Usually they're boring. They're just glorified business cards. We do blank, blank, and blank for all your blank needs. Call now, if it's even that good. Show them a couple things they can do with their website. 3, they got social media or they don't. Either way, you got recommendations about what you should be doing with it. And then almost always they'll say, they might say something like, do you help with any of that? And I say, yeah, I could help you with blah, blah, blah. And I don't try and sell them and close them. I just say, if you want, I can put together something, shoot something over to you like Monday or Tuesday. Is that cool? And then you get their info and you send them over the old proposal. But they'll close faster simply because the barrier to sale is always trust. And if they see you face to face, they're far more likely to trust you. So yeah, if I wanted to get 0 to 10K, I would do it face to face. And by the way, if you guys want, I got tools for everything. I have a tool for finding the local meetups in your area. Obviously works better for those of you guys who are in the United States. But having said that, there are meetups everywhere. I'll just post this for you guys right here. But having said that, you don't have to do cold DMs. In fact, I actually think you can grow an agency exponentially faster without cold DMs. Everybody thinks it's fast, but it's really not. Because what nobody tells you is, first of all, that's the most crowded channel. Like, I actually just had to change one of our email addresses because I'm getting so much fucking spam on YouTube. That's just all cold DMs from dipshits who like also try and sell me the same shit in the same way with the same messages. And so it's crowded, it's noisy. I'm far more likely to ignore it. And even if you get me on a call or you get the person on a call, at best, they're going to be 3 out of 10 on the idea of working together. And so like you have to be very, very good at selling and closing to take somebody from a 3 to a 10 in one call. I'm not saying it can't be done, but I'll tell you, it's way easier when you get people who are like a 10. Hey, I saw you in the shoe store. Oh, your stuff sounds great. How do we work together? I'm a 9 out of 10 on the idea of working together. How do we get started? It's way better. Lazarus, I work with mobile detailers, people who clean cars. A lot are on Instagram. Would you recommend boosting Instagram posts, like making a hand raiser as a post and boosting it? If that's where they are, like usually like I just go where they are. Same here. My vids get about 14 views. I know the shoe store channels just can't see how to get them to want to co-create content in the first place and then handle it all themselves. Well, just so you know, on that, Lazarus, sorry, scratching my ass. I got a bug bite on my ass. True story. I worked with a shoe store in legal, friend and mentor of mine named Ken, for like 3 years. And it's very interesting when you see behind the scenes. So they're a very well-run professional organization, but they got problems out the yin yang shoe stores, just so you know. And they have problems of scale. And one of the biggest things is almost all of the shoe stores in your industry will be content creators. So in the case of the one I worked with, they're called PILMA, the Personal Injury Lawyers Marketing and Management Association. They had a big annual conference. They usually put on like 15, 20 workshops a year. They have a podcast. They got a YouTube channel. They got a newsletter. What else? Weekly training every week. Those are just some of the things I'm thinking of off the top of my head. And I'll tell you what they struggle with behind the scenes. So at the scale they're doing content, they literally cannot do it all themselves. You can't put on a big annual conference and have just you talking. You can't put on workshops and it'd be just you. You can't publish a newsletter every week. You can't do a training. You can't have a podcast and just be you. So it requires collaboration. Like you literally have to. You need people who have good information and are willing to share it. And so what happens behind the scenes, this is a conversation we had every single fucking week without fail, never ending. Okay, so they would, we had a magazine. So for example, so they would say, hey, we got to publish our newsletter, but we don't have an article to go on page 3. What are we going to put in page 3? Hey, we got a podcast episode coming up in 3 weeks. We don't have a guest. Who can we put in there? Hey, we got a weekly training next week and the guy had to cancel because his kid is sick. What are we going to put in there? Hey, we got an event, a workshop coming up next week. And we got the first 2 days of material, but we don't know what we're going to talk about on day 3 yet. What are we going to put in day 3? All day, every day. So I'll tell you the first time I got published in a shoe store. I was on LinkedIn and I saw Publisher, Attorney at Law magazine as a recommended connection. The guy's name is Chris, and I friended Chris. And I was just fascinated. Like here's a guy who's a publisher, Attorney at Law magazine. And I reached out to him and I said, hey, Chris, like that's kind of fascinating to me that you are the guy who publishes Attorney at Law magazine. And I said to him, I said, like, I don't know if you're even interested in answering this, but I'd be really curious what a typical day is like for you. And he responded like 5 minutes later, which was kind of cool. And he said, well, Today we're supposed to go to print, and I am missing an article because a writer said they were going to have it by this morning and they didn't. And now I'm a little poopy pants because I have to write a magazine quality article to fill the magazine, and it was supposed to be taken care of already. And so like it's extra work I don't really have time for and don't need to deal with. And I said, hey, Chris, if you want, I can have a magazine quality article on your desk in 45 minutes. This was before AI, by the way. So I like couldn't just like use ChatGPT and wing that shit in like 2 minutes. I said, give me 45 minutes. I'll have something on your desk. And he went, really? And I went, really? 45 minutes later, I had, edited it a bunch of times and sent him over. And I went from nobody in the industry to 10 minutes later, I was a published author. And I ended up writing like 6 or 7 articles for him over like a couple of years. By the way, that's distribution. They send their magazine out to like tens of thousands of attorneys. So like I get seen by tens of thousands of attorneys who all read that magazine. Now, what's important there is to understand I was a beginner. Chris was not publishing me because he thought I was an expert. He was not publishing me because he thought I was so cool and charming. He was not publishing me because my 5-day stubble just made me look like a sexy dad. He wasn't publishing because of the golden dad guns. He was publishing me for one simple reason. I was doing his work for him, saving him 3 hours of his time trying to figure this shit out, which he didn't have time for. So when you say, I don't know what to co-create with shoe stores, it's literally anything. I got an idea for a podcast. I got something to go in your newsletter. I got something for your magazine. I got something that you guys can do on your weekly training. So like when I went into the water damage restoration space, I noticed when I went to one of the websites of the industry associations, they had published these ask the expert 5-minute questions. And I noticed they had slipped for a few weeks. They were like very regularly publishing it and they hadn't published it for a few weeks. And I know why, because behind the scenes, they're going, oh shit, we got this coming up. We're dealing with the event. So-and-so just quit. It's always like revolving door of shit to deal with. And so I just said, hey, looks like you haven't published one in a while. I got a really cool episode idea for you. I think nobody in your space is talking about AI yet. And it'd be really cool to talk about how you can use this to create content to go sell your restoration services. By the way, they don't care whether I'm an expert. They don't care because they know they committed to publishing that shit and they got to do it and they don't know what they're going to say. So I just solved a problem for them. And so that's why shoe stores publish you, not because. So if you understand that, they literally need you. It makes it a lot easier pitching them, knowing they literally fucking need you. Same thing. Like with the big conferences, like if you guys want to get eventually like speak on stage in your industry, which is like you'll make a lot of fucking money when you start speaking on stage. One of the things I learned is they sell tickets to the same people over and over and over and over. And a lot of those people will say, like, hey, I'm going to skip the event this year. Why? Well, it's the same speakers as last year. So, I'll wait till they have some new stuff, but I'm not going to go this year. And then behind the scenes, they're like, yeah, we need some new shit or we're not going to be able to sell some tickets. Like we need like 5-10 new speakers that got different topics that we haven't heard before. Who do we got? And it's a struggle to find 5 or 10 people with new shit. So you show up and be like, hey, I noticed everybody in your space is talking about this thing, but nobody's talking about that. I'd love to come and present, give your people like really valuable information on this topic. They don't bring you in because you're the expert and the speaker and he's renowned all over the world. They bring you in because they need to sell tickets and you are a vehicle that helps them do it. That's why I would say, like, if you're going to work with shoe stores, you're serving their agenda first, not yours. But if you do that, like anybody in your industry will publish you. And they'll publish you fast and you'll get a lot of eyeballs quickly. And sometimes the interesting thing is shoe stores know other shoe stores. So for me, I published some shit as the Ask the Expert 5-minute interviews. Then I was like, hey, we could turn this into a magazine article too. repurposed it as a magazine article. They put it on the front cover, and then the front cover went out. And then I had other shoe stores reach out to me. One of them said, hey, we got our industry conference coming up in Las Vegas. Nobody's talking about AI. We want you to come be the AI presenter. Can you come speak? I'm like, that was from 5 minutes of fucking, let me publish a little Ask the Expert interview and help you with your thing. And they do the distribution for you. That's the magic, is Walmart sells your eggs for you. So I'm a big believer in that process because it works. Distribution is more valuable than sales. Would you rather reach out and get one guaranteed sale, or would you rather get one guaranteed for free Super Bowl commercial? Why is a Super Bowl commercial cost like $8 million for one 30-second commercial? Because like 150 million people are going to see it. Right? It'd be hard not to make sales. I actually remember when GoDaddy first did a Super Bowl commercial years ago. And that was the point at which they started really blowing up as a company, and they kind of went viral for like some chick with big tits or whatever. Their servers actually broke. Here's a company that does domain registrations and hosting, and their hosting broke because so many people went from the YouTube commercial to their website. Ain't that some shit? So for you guys, and the other thing with shoe stores too is it adds credibility factors, which the barrier to sales is always trust. So for me personally, when I went from, hey, I'm Frankie Finn and we do Facebook ads, that never converted as well as, hey, I'm Frankie Finn. You may have heard of me with my work from Attorney at Law magazine, or the stuff I published with the world's #1 attorney, John Morgan, or you may have seen my stuff inside of PILMA, the Personal Injury Lawyers Marketing and Management Association. And today I want to show you guys how to do blank. I just told you 3 credibility things that make me real in a way. And then also all of those work great as paid ads. It's like when I boost, here's the speech I gave, here's the podcast I did, those things work better because those industries are already trusted. So I could talk for hours about this. I won't, but I'm a big fan of like, get the distribution with the people who have trust, and your shit selling becomes downhill. I always say there's 3 tiers of how a potential client can see you. So one of those is what I call Jerry Generalist. Jerry Generalist is the guy who's like, I'll do anything for $1. You need a website, I'll make you a website. You need graphics, I'll make you graphics. You need Google ads, I'll make you Google ads. You need keyword research, I'll do keyword research. Whatever you need, I'll do it. Jerry Generalist is always the lowest paid and has the hardest time getting clients. Second tier, you're what I call Steven Specialist. You're niche focused and you do just one thing for people. Automatically, people are going to believe you're better at it and are willing to pay you more money for it. There is a third level. And by the way, just as a rule, usually Steven Specialist makes 4 to 5 times as much money as Jerry Generalist for the exact same thing. Ask me how I know. When I sold websites as Jerry Generalist, I'll do anything you need, internet stuff. $500 to $1,000 for a website, and people gave me pushback. When I was a specialist and I only make websites for plastic surgeons, and we know how to sell your plastic surgery stuff through websites, all of a sudden $5,000 to $10,000 was the going rate. I didn't get any better at WordPress, just so you know. I went from $1,000 to $5,000, same thing. And I had, by the way, all of a sudden I didn't have as many websites I needed to make the same amount of money, right? I used to have to get 5 clients and hustle my ass off. Now I could get 1 and make more money off of 1 than I did. And the margins were better too, because I didn't have to hire 5 different people to make 5 different sites. I hired 1 guy one time. Then there's the third tier, what I call Cedric Celebrity Authority. And Cedric Celebrity Authority is the exact same as a specialist, except with one key difference, is they have engineered a reputation that precedes them through the power of media. So there's like 7-ish different kinds of media you can use to enhance your reputation. TV, radio, interviews, speaking on stage, recommendations from other people with trust, print media, books, about it. And when you set those things up so they precede you, there's a status level that can't be achieved. You know, when I actually first noticed this, Russell Brunson brought this to my attention in one of his books. And I remember he was talking about that he noticed whenever he would speak on stage, after a guy pointed it out, that his sales were based on the quality of the intro he got. When people would be like, this is Russell, and he has some good ideas, so put your hands together. His closing was way worse, and they went, oh my God, put your hands together. This next speaker is going to blow your fucking mind. You may have seen him here. He's on our ClickFunnels. Russell! And he said once he realized that, he got Tony Robbins to make him a little endorsement, and he turned it into a little video. And then every time he spoke, he put his own video in front of him talking. And so he engineered his own reputation. And so for me, I was watching one of those stupid late night shows at my brother's house, and he had on, like, I don't even know who does the late night shows, but I think of like David Letterman and Jay Leno, those kind of guys. And there was a show, and they said, coming up after the break, stick around for the star of the hit new movie, Reggie Van. Woo! Crowd went crazy. Then they went, coming up, star of the hit new movie. And they said, let me introduce our next guest, star of the hit new movie, Reggie Van. And then the crowd went, woo! And they all went apeshit, which, by the way, if you've ever been at a TV taping, which I have, they hold up an applause sign and they make those people go crazy, even if they have no fucking idea who that person is. So you think the crowd's like, oh my God, this guy's awesome. They're actually just doing it because if you want to be on TV, that's what you got to do. So anyways, that person had, even before they've opened their mouth, 3 times somebody has introduced them and raised their status. So what I like to do is, like, I go get those shoe store media and then I incorporate that into my advertisement. So it's like, hey, here's us on the top podcast. Hey, here's me with this other expert who endorses me. Here's me in the industry association. Here's me with somebody top you might know. Here's the book I wrote, etc. And then all of that creates a reputation, makes you Cedric Celebrity Authority. When you're Cedric Celebrity Authority, by the way, you get 5 times as much money for the same thing. So like Steven Specialist gets $10K for a website. Cedric is like, I don't even get out of bed for 50 or 100 grand. And they're like, okay, well, you're the best. I want the best. I'll pay you 50 grand. And it's funny because, again, you don't get any better at WordPress. You don't get any better at the tech skills, but your positioning gets better. So a lot of what I'm teaching you guys is that, in a nutshell, is like how to engineer mini celebrity status, not real celebrity status. Just, real celebrity status sucks. Like, I saw a video with Eminem, and he was like, he was complaining about being a celebrity because he says you can never turn it off. He said he was taking a shit in a Hollywood restaurant. All of a sudden, a hand came up under the stall. It was like, Eminem, I know it's a bad time, but could you please just autograph this for my son? He loves you. He said, you can't even take a shit in peace. So Cedric Celebrity Status in our world is if, like, I've gone to industry conferences in a lot of different industries where I'm a celebrity, and people will go, oh my God, I know you. I've seen your videos. I read your thing. I'm on your newsletter. Oh my God, it's you. I can't believe it's you. I go 2 blocks away, I'm nobody again. And it's only useful for business. It's not a permanent celebrity status. And I'm a big fan of having it. And it can be engineered way easier than most people realize. I'm kind of ranting on this, but I'm ranting on it because, man, like, you want to make your shit selling downhill, invest 3 to 6 months in getting media placements in your industry. 1, because you'll make direct sales, but 2, you now have a reputation you can use again and again and again that says, I am somebody. And you can charge more money because you are somebody. And people will give it to you. And there's a percentage of people in your market that will pay more money to work with the best. I've actually seen it. I've been, like, literally been in the room where, like, top lawyer masterminds that go, who's the best person you know for blank? Who's the best person you know for blank? And whoever the answer to that question is, they'll pay top dollar, whatever it is, just to get them. Who's the best person you know for TV? Harlan Schillinger. Harlan's going to get $100,000 minimum. And you want your name to be the one coming out of their mouth, which is just it's a status play. Like, I was thinking about, I got a friend, Cameron Williams. He posts all the time about agencies and accounting and losing money and profit margins and not paying it to Uncle Sam and those kind of things. People ask me, who's the best person you know for that? And I'll say Cam. I actually don't even know if he's any good. I don't like work with him personally, but he's done so much to engineer celebrity status. I assume he must be good at it at this point. He's speaking about it. He's going to events. He's on podcasts. He's got a show. He has all the trappings of it. I'm going to recommend people to him without even knowing he's any good, right? That happens more often than you guys would realize. Paul says, I got my Clint Eastwood still. All right, let me get back on track here. How does newbie Steven Specialist get his clients via in-person networking, assuming the networking groups have different industries? Well, if you're going to, it depends on how you do the networking. So there's two ways you can do networking. Way number one, and it really kind of depends on your goals, just so you know. So way number one is you do it as a generalist and you don't niche down in the beginning and you just get whatever you can get. And it's probably the best way to get to 10K a month. And so you just go to, you know, the BNI meeting, the Chamber of Commerce, the local entrepreneurial meetup, the small business owners get together of Omaha, whatever. And you go to those things and you sign who you sign. And it's a good path to get to like 10, 20, 30K a month. It usually won't take you beyond that. So it depends on your goals, which is why I say, I think it's a great way to like get 15, 20K a month going in the door because you can do it like in weeks, especially if you're in a big enough city where there's lots of meetups. Within weeks, you can be hitting 15, 20K a month easy. But having said that, you won't get specialized niche work. If you want to network for specialized niche work, you have to go to the industry conferences. Those are more like spread out on the calendar and they're not going to be local to you. And your ass will have to get on a plane and book hotel flights and things like that. But having said that, those they function the same. I always say like with networking, you just ask other people about them and what they're doing, how long they've been doing it, how that's going, what they like about it, what they don't. If you had to do it all over again, would you still do that? Eventually, when they reciprocate, you pull up the phone and say, I can run an analysis for you right now. By the way, it's my cutie little Heidi B. And then you just demonstrate like, here's some shit you could be doing right now. And the barrier to sale will be smaller because you're face to face and they can see you, touch you, taste you, you're real, you're not a spammer in the inbox. So those deals will close faster simply for that reason. So the hybrid scenario, if you're going to do it, is you go to the generalist shit to get to like 10, 20K a month. And then once you have some cash flow going, then you use that money to go to industry specific events and you make yourself going forward, you know, the HVAC guy or the med spa girl or whatever, right? You like get like enough of a nut that you're not going to starve and go broke and all those things. And you get like the sort of training wheels and then you focus it going forward. That's a viable strategy as well. That's probably what I would do. I'd probably just get like 10, 20K a month recurring from just local people, shit like that. And then going forward, I would niche down and go to the events and stuff like that. But there's no have to in any of this. A lot of it depends what you want. For some of you guys, like I remember in the beginning thinking like, if I just had 5K a month, some of you guys I think are greedy. I didn't even want 10K a month. I just wanted 5. I was like, because 5 meant I would not be working for someone else. That was like around, I was probably going to make 5,000-6,000 a month working for someone else before taxes, right? I was like, man, if I could just make that working for me, I don't care. As long as I didn't have to work for someone else, that was worth it. I'll do whatever the fuck it takes. Now, like, sometimes those are like quarter days. I was actually talking to Sam Carlson about this, like how blessed we truly are. I'm like, I have days where I make more in a day now than I would have 6 months working for someone else, like in a day. And it doesn't even cause an emotional reaction. It's not like, fuck yeah, I did it. It's like, it's just normal. It's just normal to have that kind of revenue. And, that's what's possible with this kind of thing is like, it takes some time to get going, but you can literally make more than your friends and family make in like 3 days than they'll make all year. And you can do it autonomously on your own timelines, on your own terms, where you want to do it, when you want to do it, with who, which most people, even when they make good money, it's not autonomous, right? They got to go to work when the boss man says you got to be there. And like, if you're on a salary job, there's implied overtime, and you shit and piss when the boss man tells you want to. Just so you know, I do these Mondays at 10 o'clock because it works for me. That ain't because somebody else told me you have to be here Monday at 10 o'clock. Come on, Finn. No being late. So you could, the upside of doing this business model is like you can make way more money than most people do and do it autonomously. And, that means for Sam, like Sam goes to Disneyland like 15 fucking times a year. He does not live in California, by the way. So that's like, get on a plane. He lives in Boise, Idaho. And like, for me, I just hang with my kids. Like we're actually like, I was just talking with a guy on my phone. We're going to go rent a yacht. I'm going to take my kids out, and I'm going to take my buddy and a couple of his kids. And we're just going to go out for a couple hours, and we're going to do it just because I can. And we're actually going to go 2 hours away, and there's like a famous landmark thing that we're going to go to. So that's kind of cool. But you get to do those things after, and it takes some time to get there, just so you guys know. Like, it doesn't happen in 5 minutes, no matter how much the digital guru tells you otherwise. You and Sam provide tons of value and deserve what you all get. I appreciate that, dude. We're trying. You'll notice Sam and I have the same thing is we don't hammer the how much money you can make in this business, because I think it just attracts people who are more dreamers than doers. We talk a lot about like doing it and running ads and that, because we want those of you guys who are taking action, because it's a lot more fulfilling to help you guys than it is people who just dream about getting rich but never actually do anything. Derek says, man, I got to get there, take some of this pressure off. Well, just so you know the math on it, Derek, if you got like a $2,000 a month service, like, so in the 90-day challenge, giving you real math, the number I hit was 15.6 thousand a month recurring. Okay. That, if you're new, might sound like a lot of money. It's really not. But like, if you're brand new and you've never made that kind of money, like in this thing, it might sound like a lot. I got 6 people. Right. I ain't saying it's so easy. Anybody can do that. Fuck that shit. But like, is 6 people, like, is that not a climbable mountain? I didn't convince half the fucking planet to jump in bed and do this. So it's just like 6 business owners in similar situations. We can help you with this problem. That's it. And by the way, even if you're already doing 100,000 a month, you can add 6 more people. Like, that usually is a good way to pay your staff and get some margins. So it's like, whether you have it or don't, but it's a climbable mountain. It's like, we're not Starbucks. You don't need to get 10 million people to say yes. You need a small handful of people to go, all right, let's do this. And once you figure out the principles how to do that, it's a small hurdle, and it can be done. And you can do it personally. I would say, like, it's useful to know dumber people than you have done this. In fact, sometimes the smartest people have the hardest trouble with it, because they sit in a corner overthinking things, and the dumb guys just go do it. Even if they do it badly, they go do it. But it can be done. And like 60% of it is buying audience and 30% of it is offer. If you get those 2 details right, a lot of other details will go. And I'll tell you, like, pressure off. I was at the grocery store yesterday, and I asked my kids, like, what did you want? They actually like fell asleep in the car, one of them. So I was like, okay, you guys are just gonna wait in the car. We had a big like swimming afternoon. I let them just sleep in the car for a minute with the air conditioning on, because it's fucking hot as balls. And I went inside, and I remember they said they wanted some raspberries, some blueberries, and we were naughty and said, Daddy, can we get some cookies? All right, we can get some cookies. So we had some fruit and some cookies. That was lunch. That was what they requested. I said, okay. And I remember I was in the fruit section. It's kind of like in the corner of the grocery store. And there was a family there, and they were sitting there, and they were like looking at the price, and they were like, this one's 48 pesos. And this one over here is 22. But if you do the math, because it's by weight, and they were sitting like for 10 minutes in the corner calculating what would save them a nickel. And I'll tell you, when the pressure's off, it's been so long since I thought about shit like that. You think like money will change all these things and it'll make you better and happier. It doesn't do that, but it does make financial decisions way easier. Like I just go to the grocery store and just get what the fuck I want. Like it doesn't really matter whether it's a nickel more or penny less or whatever. It just makes no fucking difference. So there is that element, you know, and then surprise expenses, which always come up in life, a fucking car trouble, somebody dies, you got to get on a plane and go somewhere, you know, whatever. Friend messages you and says, can I borrow $3,000? I'm in a really tight spot and I promise I'll pay you back. You know, none of that stuff phases you. Like there's that kind of shit. But it doesn't like magically make you feel better on the inside either. So, but it is useful to have that pressure off. You'll just make better decisions when the pressure is off. What do you recommend for someone starting out with web designs in regards to cold outreach? Two things. It's going to sound counterintuitive. And I got a video I did on this channel you can search for. It's called like Easy Website Sales. But thing number one is sell to people who already own lots of websites. This is counterintuitive. What everybody does is they try and sell for need. They look for people who don't own a website. And I would sell them an add-on website to people who already buy lots of domains. Hey, you don't have a Spanish version of your site, or you don't have a version just to sell your commercial roofing, or you don't have one just for your Tampa location. Okay, so sell to people who have a proven history of buying those. If you Google their name and you can see 5 websites, 10 websites, 15 websites, that's a good sign. If you can't find anything, that's a bad sign. The internet's been out 30 years. If they haven't bought a website in 30 years, like they're just not buyers of that. And then the second thing is demonstrate it. We use our own AI tools and we create a mock-up and show them like, this could be what it looks like. This could be you. Do those two things and your outreach will just work way better. You'll sell to people who buy what you sell and you'll demonstrate it, which will make them realize you can actually really do it. Derek says, so I've dragged ass my whole life. Now that I'm actively trying, life is kicking my balls. And does Corey Rudel ring a bell? That was my first purchase back in the day. Yes, I know Corey Rudel. I actually don't know him personally, but Frank Kern used to talk about him lots. And Frank Kern was the guy who got him online. From what I know, Corey Rudel was the first guy to actually have an internet marketing conference. I don't know for sure if that's a statement of fact, but he was certainly among the first people to do that. And he was one of the first people to have a course for like how to make money online. So he taught a lot of these basic principles to people. And by the way, there's some ways in which making money is easier now, but there's some ways in which it's exponentially harder. There's more competition, which makes it harder. But like, I remember my first landing page took me a month to build. And I'd figure out how to code it and all that shit. Now there's like so many different ways. You click a button, you can have a landing page done in 5 fucking minutes. With AI, you can like literally create one in 30 seconds. So that's certainly easier. But yeah, dude, just so you know, I didn't make any money almost my first full 2 years. So like zero, not a little bit, like almost zero. Zero, like not almost zero, zero. And then I still remember the first time I was helping a friend sell his real estate thing he had written up. I still remember the first time a stranger gave us $47 on the internet. I called him all excitedly. And I was like, holy shit, Matt, someone just gave us $47. He was like, who? It's like, that's the best part. I don't know who they are. And I remember trying to Google their name for like an hour, but they had a really generic name, you know, like a Bob Johnson or Joe Smith or Dave Wilson or some shit like that. And so we couldn't find them. I just couldn't find that person. And I thought it was a fluke until like maybe a week or two later, somebody else gave us money. And then that was like when the dream became real for me. But just so you know, it was probably like 4 years into it before I actually felt like I'm making real money and this was actually worth it. So it's okay if you drag your ass. Like, I don't think it's like Dan Kennedy calls it the 12-year overnight success, which is like people see I'm making millions, but they don't see the years. Like I was literally, just so you guys know, sleeping on my girlfriend's couch. And I think we all have them. I call them anti-cheerleaders. But my anti-cheerleader was my ex's, her dad, my father-in-law. He was always like, when are you going to get a job? Like real job. He was always like super condescending, like your little internet thing, your little internet thing, your little internet thing, your little internet thing. And I still remember we were about 5-6 years in, maybe 7. And I was finally starting to make real money, And I remember we started traveling. That was how I rewarded my ex. So like she was a teacher, and like teachers usually only get time off summer break, Christmas, and then like spring break. But we found out if you just ask the school, can I have time off? I don't want to be paid for it. They'll just let you go whenever. So we're like, can we have some time off? I don't want to be paid for it. And we went to Europe, and we went all around America. We went to Costa Rica. We went to Peru. We went to Hawaii. I don't know. We just went a lot of fucking places. And I remember like her dad was like, how do you guys afford to travel? Like, how do you guys actually like do this all the time? And I'll tell you, one of the happiest moments of my life is I looked him in the eyes and I just winked and said, I guess that little internet thing is working out. So there is a point at which and the funniest thing about it, for those of you guys going through this transformation, is many of the people who doubt you along the way will claim they supported you after the fact. The people who literally who tell you, you should get a job, you should get a real job. Why don't you just like get a job to fall back on, blah, blah. They'll like try and talk you out of your dream. And then they'll come back and be like, I always knew you were going to do it. And I just believed in you right from the beginning. And I supported you. And it's like, what? It's not how I remember it. But people are funny that way. And I've realized, it takes some time to be able to say, I told you so. And it's not as satisfying as you imagine it'll be. But the flip side of that is, you get to do shit normal people don't. Like, I don't know, for me, I do whatever I want, whenever the fuck I want, all day, every day, without exception. So, yeah, you guys will get to that point at some point. And it's really cool because, like, for me, like, my first real like change was like the alarm clock. I was like, oh, I hate waking up to an alarm clock. I was like, I just decided when it started working, I was like, I'm going to wake up when I'm done sleeping. I don't really give a fuck. No more alarm clock. I don't want every day to be like, and then you hit snooze like 2-3 times. I was like, that's it. I'm done with it. I only use alarm clocks now on like travel days when I have to like wake up to make a flight. And I'm always a little freaked out that I won't wake up. So if I'm at a hotel, I have to have like the front desk call me. Then I got like 2 phone alarms set, and I got the phone alarm, or I got the alarm in the hotel room set. But other than that, like, there's no alarm clocks in my life. And it's a good way to live. And I think you guys will enjoy it. Looks like that's all the questions we got for now. So I'm going to call it a show. I actually got a friend coming to visit from out of town. He lives about 2 hours away. So not like super far, but he's driving over, going to be here in a little bit. So we're going to hang out. We're going to do some evil scheming. We'll also do some fun stuff. He's the one that I'm actually going to hang out with on the old yacht. Appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. Oh, as I mentioned, for those of you guys who missed the intro, I do have exactly one spot open for the Wolfpack Mastermind. So if you are interested in that, give me a holler. And we can talk details on that. Other than that, that's all I got for you guys on this Monday. Appreciate you all. Happy Monday. May the Triforce be with you. Go make some money. Go make the world a better place. Go help some people. Love you all, crazy motherfuckers. And may the Triforce be with you.